Welcome to the GainzCast, guys. We're here with some extra special guests. Of course, I'm Marc Lobliner alongside
Matt Marano.
So you guys can introduce yourself. What do you do? Where you're from? What do you do for a living? Whatever you want to tell the people. Go ahead.
All right. Okay. You know what? Fine. I'll dispense. I will take it. All right. So my name is MalcolmFlex. I am from Huntsville, Alabama. Currently dwelling in a unknown part of Alabama. I'm not going to reveal that. I've got too many haters, but
That's fair.
Oh yeah,
You got to keep it right, right?
Oh, trust me, I slaughter people. I collect scalps on the timeline. But that being said, for a living, outside of being a regular political commentator, I also work as a scientist for clinical research, industry sided. So I am a clinical research coordinator. Do a lot of funny stuff with studies, read protocols, the normal mundanities of discovering the mysteries of life and selling them for a profit. But that being said, pretty much average guy, just got into politics, and also I lift. So I'm a former Division I athlete, walk-on football player, Jacksonville.
Get you closer to the mic there, bro.
Ooh. Darn it, my dosey tones aren't working. Here we go.
Oh, now it's nice.
There it is.
Oh yeah, nice and smooth. So yeah, former Division I athlete, and football, walked on, hard nosed, broke my knees, and here I am now. Got my degree, and that's pretty much what I do. I just make snapback comments on people and occasionally work out. Pretty much it.
Some of the greatest, by the way, disses since Def Comedy Jam in the 90s. Like, just completely destroying people.
I love it.
Oh, man, it takes your mama jokes to, like, the next level.
Let me tell you, the tears of haters and scalps of my enemies are very low calories. So, again, I get my macros in, and, I don't go over. I'm always cutting.
All right, Matt?
Yeah, so my name is Matt Stevens. I guess where I start, I'm an amateur bodybuilder, I guess you could say.
He's a big, strong motherfucker. Is what
I've been training basically all my life. And so I'm a coach on the side, coaching people, fitness coach. I've got a few products coming out soon, bigger on Twitter, so probably fitness Twitter, personal development Twitter. And other than that, I guess my main profession would be insurance. So we'll see kind of where that goes, though. I'm hoping to get the fitness thing going where I can just do that.
Make that full time.
Yeah.
Well, insurance is necessary, man.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of insurance?
So retirement benefits.
Okay, good. I'm getting old as fuck.
Yeah, dude, I can get you some.
I'm going to need you to call. I got a policy, and my wife keeps raising it. Should I be scared?
Well, it depends.
If I die, man, they're set. Like, those people they're like, I'm surprised she hasn't killed me yet. I'm like, dude, you got a Keyman policy, you got this, you got that. It's like, I would have killed me a long time ago, which means there might be some value outside of physical in this relationship. Yeah. But we welcome you here to Tennessee. Obviously, we had a great workout today, trained back. Again, all strong dudes. Like, our weights were around the same. Matt outlifted everybody. If I got 10 reps, he went second, so you get 12. I know what you're doing, man.
Well, you outdid me last time, so I had to go after you this time and really.
Yeah, you did, and it wasn't nice. It wasn't cool at all, man. Just beating up the old guy. So
a lot's changed since then. He's turned 40.
Yeah, I know.
Very true.
I've officially gone over the hill. So there's so much to talk about. That's the thing, is how do you unpackage what's going on? Now, a lot of us are involved in the political world on Twitter, and that's how we met each other. It was one of those where, hey, this guy lifts, and he's kind of, more of a conservative thinker, and we started commenting on similar things, and wait a second, we kind of see eye to eye, and if we don't, we discuss it, and this and that. So what's going on right now? Like, especially with the whole election. Like, just looking, if you had a crystal ball, who's going to be inaugurated on January 20th?
I mean, I think the biggest thing right now is that no one has any sort of, or at least sense of certainty. And I think it kind of stresses everybody out when they start thinking about it. Because, on one side, something happens and you're like, oh, well, hey, this person get elected. But then on the other side, something else will happen. And it's just like, it goes back and forth. And so a lot of people, they're sitting there thinking to themselves, well, we don't know what the hell's going on. And a lot of people stay out of it for that very reason. But it matters. A lot of people know that it matters, and it stresses people out. I think that's the biggest thing right now.
So you think the unknown?
No. Unknown.
Okay.
People are stressed as hell. But I will say this, liberals have kind of went into sleep, so I guess it's a little bit less insufferable in political Twitter right now and, on the interwebs in general. So, like Matt said, a lot of people are stressed, and that right there is what we need to pay attention to, because when those stress levels hit a certain point, you're kind of getting to a point where you're going to see a conflagration. And I don't know whether or not that's the end goal. I don't know whether or not, we're going to resolve this election. Everything's going to be okay. And I definitely don't know what a Biden presidency would look like if we end up getting it.
Scary.
But every day, we are seeing a likewise percentage increase, probably about 5%, 5% chance every day that this thing ticks on, because I think, isn't the time ticking right now on certification?
Yeah. What is it? December 12th?
December 12th is when they're supposed to do the whole electoral college meets up, and
They got 7 days. They got a week.
Dude,
That's next Friday.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, today's the 5th.
the days run together.
that's literally at the finish line. We're at the final stretch. But what I've been seeing is there's a lot of momentum on Trump's side, and there's a lot of wins and a lot of evidence. And you don't hear anybody talk about there's no evidence. And I was like, there's not enough evidence. And then there's like, the evidence is incredible. Like, so, okay. Either there's no evidence. So basically they're moving the goalpost. There is evidence. In my opinion, if there's any evidence of any wrongdoing in an election, we need to scrap the whole fucking thing.
I think right now they're just trying to hold out until the 12th, without it being fully clear cut, which to us, I think it's fully clear cut already.
It looks clear cut that this thing,
But it's
look,
court clear cut.
I like when people go, if this was Trump, it wouldn't matter. Oh, absolutely not. Shut the fuck up. If Trump did this shit, I'd be like, fuck that guy.
Exactly.
Fuck that guy. That's not how you win an election. If the people want Biden, the people get Biden. But unfortunately, I don't think Biden won anything. I think Biden at most won 3 to 4 states. I have no doubt he lost. I think he lost California. I know he lost those states that are in the swing. And if you look at the suitcases and the timing and these, every time they shut down, here's the thing. They should have cheated better.
Bingo.
You let Trump fucking win one. Okay, they had all these different things. The 1:30 a.m. Every single drop, every single vote drop that happened in the middle of the night that was questionable went over 95% Biden.
But do you think these dumbasses had they communicated with each other? Do you think it was Pennsylvania
These
acting
people
independently,
aren't dumb.
and then just randomly Georgia had the same idea?
They're not dumb. They're not dumb. They just don't think people would look at it.
They think we're dumb. That's the issue.
They fixed the fucking election for the president of the United States 100%. These nefarious pieces of shit made my vote. Well, actually, Tennessee, it's going to go Trump anyway. You can't really fucking cheat Tennessee.
I don't know. They got Arizona, man. Give it a second.
And Georgia.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but everywhere outside of Nashville, it's not flying over here.
Yeah, dude,
it
we got
doesn't matter.
80%. They're like, we'll let them have Tennessee. but the bottom line is, I am fucking mad because I was the first one to say, there's no fucking proof. There's no shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You lost. All right, the fucking red wave, the blue wave, the fucking red mirage, whatever the fuck they called it. And now I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy shit, these assholes cheated. And I would say the same thing, and all of us would say the same thing if it was Trump. But they don't care because their guy won.
Bingo. It's football team politics. And this is the main issue that I've got with the growing political divide. Again, at some point, the truth has to matter. You have to think long term. It can't be my team won this time, nothing else matters. And that's again what we've got to get out of. But the issue is, the diametric polarization between the two sides keeps on growing and pulling people over. And you know what this reminds me of? Weimar Germany, the Weimar Republic.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Bunch of Nazi Republicans.
Basically oh my God. Who's getting punched? But no, at the same time, the issue is that the political centers broke down. Who is called a moderate at this point? Who's brave enough to call themselves a moderate? Because on my end, you've got either the American First populists or you've got the far left and the establishment. And right now, the establishment is slowly bleeding out to the far left. If you look, more and more of their candidates are the far left, and they are starting to consume it. And yes, the far left lost this election for the establishment, but the thing is, they keep growing. They're not going anywhere. You look at Ocasio-Cortez, occasional Cortex, Ocasio-Cortez, something, in Stephen Crowder's words. Again, she has a massive following on Twitter. Conservatives can't leave her alone. The establishment, Republicans can't leave her alone. They're growing the legend. That side is growing. And what I see is the fracturing of the middle. And, it's not sustainable.
But that's just on Twitter, and Twitter is it's such a bubble.
It is a bubble.
Yeah.
It's a bubble, but when you use it properly, it can be a great sample for, again, what's coming with the younger generation. That's, again, why Twitter has become such a political hotbed.
But I mean, what are the stats on Twitter? You said like only
20%.
Yeah,
have
only
Twitter.
20% have Twitter,
Yeah.
and then only so many.
The people I know
use it.
Like, for example, I live in let's look out the fucking window. It's a conservative, rich area of Tennessee. Okay. I mean, it is what it is. Dude, nobody here has Twitter.
No.
None of my neighbors use Twitter. They might they might see a Twitter clip on Fox News or even CNN, whatever. Excuse me, but they're not going to live on Twitter. Twitter is usually lived on by people who use Twitter for financial gain. Everybody on Twitter is using it for some kind of marketing. All the news sources, dude, if it wasn't for Twitter and Trump, CNN would be out of business. I got on Twitter, to be honest with you, for marketing. I just happen to get involved in shit that I shouldn't be involved in, but I wouldn't grow my base. My base I would not have 40,000 plus followers on Twitter if I didn't get in and say some shit. I can't just go like, hey, I know a lot about protein.
Yeah, you got to polarize.
You gotta pick a fucking side nowadays. You have to pick a side. You can't be an apolitical company. You have look at what Chef Andrew Gruel's done with his slapfish, man. Coming out as a conservative, he's fucking killing it. Yeah. You choose a side, people follow you. Don't choose a side. What happened with us, like BLM, right? The fucking black square, which, by the way, bro, like the black square was, you had to post it. Dude. You had to post it.
I just posted it because I didn't want any backlash. I was like, fuck it, I'm not going to caption this shit. It's just going to live there. Fuck it.
That's part of the reason why I got into Twitter is because
also I lived in New York at the time. It was necessary.
He didn't want to get his ass kicked.
But none of my friends had Twitter at the time, and I was like, this is kind of where I can compose my thoughts and not have to worry about dealing with anybody that I run into in everyday life.
It is true. It's a very insular place, but the problem is that the media, again, gets a lot of their information comes from Twitter, and it's it's kind of a downstream process where the media takes information that they aggregate from Twitter, that they take the polling, and then they influence reality by citing each other using that original data and information that comes from Twitter. And, granted, not a lot of people are on Twitter. Not a lot of people see what's going on Twitter, but they know the stories that are happening on Twitter because of the news.
However,
media.
by them doing that, it's become such a game of telephone where it's become so watered down and so much bullshit. Like you start with a coherent sentence and you end up with gibberish. And that's where we're at right now. It's it needs a hard reset.
Can we agree that Trump wouldn't have won in 2016 without Twitter?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No, it was a huge influence.
I mean, here's the thing:
Milo and all those people that have gotten kicked off since.
God, conservatives complain about Twitter, but Twitter's what got us Trump in the first place. Right. And I wouldn't have heard about Trump. I voted for Rand Paul up until he was out. Like, I'm a Rand Paul guy. I would still vote. I'd vote for him over Trump any day of the week. I'm just being real. I'm not a Trump guy. I'm an American guy. I love my country. I want what's best for it. And unfortunately, right now, it's an orange guy. That's our guy. That's the guy holding the torch, because Biden is a racist and Biden is fucking senile. Yeah. I don't give a fuck if he's not racist. Well, I don't like racism. Racism is bad. But I'm telling you what, beyond him being a racist flip-flopper, give a eulogy for a fucking, not even just a Klansman, not even just a run-of-the-mill Klansman. He gave it to like the CEO of the Klan.
What is the Grand Wizard?
He was a grand fucking wizard, bro.
Wizard, Grandmaster.
Grandmaster Flex.
That's me.
Can we just also talk about like how bad of a name a Grand Wizard is to be? Like, it's such a fucking joke.
I think it's great. I think Grand Wizard's a dope name. That's great marketing.
Yes.
Who doesn't want to aspire to be a fucking Grand Wizard?
Someone who's not a racist, Mark. Someone who's not racist.
But it wasn't a racist. Grand and Wizard alone isn't a racist term. Yeah. The KKK did such a good job of marketing it. Think about it. Like, dude, what do you want to be when you grow up? The Grand fucking Wizard.
I want to be the Grand Wizard is fucking like, okay, I'm pretty sure that sounds like something that you would make on like WoW, where you reach the maximum level and you're like, dude, the Grand Wizard in my guild will totally fucking kill you, man. Don't stay away from me, bro. It's like,
What does he wear? I don't know, a white cloak or a white mask with a point.
oh my God, I'm already canceled.
What I haven't heard is where does the KKK stand on wearing masks? I think they'd be for it. Like they've been doing that shit since they have the full thing with the eye holes.
They even do the fabric ones.
That's the crazy thing about Alabama too, is that, you know, Antifa tried to have some type of uprising in Auburn at one point, but because Alabama's already outlawed masks that kind of cover your entire head because of the KKK. Ooh. So when Antifa tried to come out and do that and cover their faces up, they immediately got arrested.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, so we've already dealt with that.
They clearly didn't do their research before trying that one.
Antifa is not the. Have you seen how ugly these motherfuckers are?
Oh my God!
Like
Andy,
what the fuck,
dude? Andy knows Twitter feed is awesome. If you're making a scary movie, bro, like these are like the quintessential villains for a slasher film. Like, dude, I can take so many faces, man. If I can like reconstruct some of these faces, dog, I can make some ugly ass masks.
And I missed my chance when Kurt was here, but I've never asked a black man, why are there no black people at Black Lives Matter rallies?
Here's the thing.
They're all like weird fucking white people with like just look like the kids that got picked on in high school that decide to paint their hair orange, purple, and green and fucking get weird tattoos.
Here's the thing about black people, bro.
No, the thing is, I know a lot of people in New York in the city that are black and they go to Black Lives Matters rallies, like in Brooklyn and shit.
New York black people don't count.
Yeah, okay. I was about to say, yeah. We can excommunicate them. Come on now. Look, man. They're in the fucking borough fighting roaches
you
and
guys
shit,
said
fucking
it.
stomping on rats with Timbs. And they got too much. Like, they need an escape from that reality.
Listen, that's everyone in New York.
Stomping on rats with Timbs.
Bro, here's the fucking...
Did it on a daily, bro.
Why do you think the soul is so thick, damn it? Oh my God. Again, with black people, here's the thing. We don't like, especially in the South, we don't like to go all the way. Like, we don't like to do all the crazy shit. Why do you think there are no black people in scary movies? We're not getting out there putting ourselves in these dicey situations. Like, if there's a situation where I might get my ass beat by the cops, I'm not about to be there. I'm about to be like, hey, bro, look, you go do that, man. Trust me. We're going to be there. We're going to be there. What time are we going out? 5:30? Okay, we're going to be there at 5:45. Never fucking shut. That's how.
No, they'll show up, but an hour late.
Oh, fuck, man. Yeah. But that's it. But I mean, that's what happens. It's like you got these crazy ass white people that are waiting for their fucking time and answer. But, they're like, you know what? We're going to be virtuous. I am an ally of black people. What do I need to do to be an ally? Okay, you want to go out here and be in the front on this rally? Get your ass kicked a little? I will do it. I'm going to fight the oppressor. And black people are like,
they're the losers that got their ass kicked their entire life. This is what they're used to anyway.
White people suck.
Dude,
I'm so over white people. I fucking hate white people.
We could win the race war if we would just fucking focus, bro. Like the race war would be over. But nah, again, and therein is my big issue is that, we have so much opportunity in this country. Again, when you look at Africans, typically they get educated over in Africa. They come over here and they fucking clean up, bro. Like, dude, the Nigerian.
We know one of our good friends, Wayne. He's from Zimbabwe, bro. He opened his own studio, work ethic, crushing it, dude, crushing it.
The infrastructure's here. It's here, bro. Like,
dude, but he literally came from nothing. Like lived in
Zimbabwe.
A car. Yeah, no, he came from Zimbabwe. When he got here, he lived in a fucking car,
which was still better than fucking Zimbabwe.
Yeah, but no, he's fucking crushing it with his fitness studios.
Yeah.
He's destroying it. He's fucking hardest worker we have. Like we bring him everywhere. Like he's our guy.
Yeah.
Like he's the fucking man. Like
best hype man you'll ever meet.
Well, the thing is you have it's the immigrant mentality, and it doesn't just apply to black people. It applies to everybody. My mom, came here from Poland via Israel, and she ended up starting a business. Immigrants just fucking start businesses and do epic shit. Americans have it too fucking good. Immigrants come here like, what the fuck? I could do all this shit. I could say shit. I could say fuck the president, and I'm not gonna get what the fuck?
Dude, we have it so good here that we have to come up with problems to have.
Dude.
Like it's too good.
Like Karens. Yeah. We have some of them in the fucking neighborhood. There's some bitches down the road. You don't want to move to a wealthy neighborhood, bro. These bitches are fucking crazy. And I hope they hear this because I fucking hate them.
What did they do? What did they do?
Man, they just taught. So they don't like Katie and I. Because we're so nice to everybody. Like people come over, like, yeah, come over and grill and everything. And here's some bars and all that. They just don't like the fact that we don't fit like in this neighborhood. It's because I'm black.
Dude,
23andMe?
I can't stand that though. I really can't stand that when people do that. There's some type of insecurity that y'all are pulling out of them for some reason.
It's because I'm in shape and I don't have a typical job. And they probably see me on social media, and they probably maybe might have seen me on the Inc. 500, and they're like, "Who the fuck's this guy? Like he's not better than me."
It's because you're black.
Just the bottom half.
They're usually the type. They're usually the type of people that want to up you. Yeah. And so when they can't, it pisses them off.
Bro, I want people to be successful. Like even people I don't like, I root for people to fucking succeed.
Yeah.
Like we said that in a video we shouldn't have done the other day. Well, actually we should have.
No, that video that went viral. We're good.
That video was good, but what I said is like, look, I don't agree with what this guy does, but I hope he makes fucking $20 million and retires. Like I love seeing I don't want to sound fucking weird, but I get off on seeing people succeed. Like, especially my boys. Like, I saw my business partner, Mike Rashid. Like, he bought a really nice car. And I was like, fuck yeah. I'm like, yes. And he moved into a nice house. Like, I like seeing my business partner, we've owned companies together. We've owned MTS and Tiger Fitness since 2011. And just last year, we both bought a new house. I was so happy for him because he was living in a $120,000 house for all these years, and our companies are worth at least $30,000 total. So and I'm like, I was so happy for him. He got 2 acres. His kids are playing in the backyard, and I'm like, yes, I love seeing people succeed.
Yeah, man, he's in there fucking banging his wife, man. He's sending new PR, and Mark's on the window. You do it, go, yeah, slow, fast, yeah, woo, 20 minutes.
Man, no one's lasting 20 minutes with their wife. No one has that kind of time. But it's the thing is that I want to see people succeed. And what you see on social media and in neighborhoods like this sometimes is that people are so jealous of success. Yeah. And you'll get that, like, you'll see people who are just the nicest people in the world. For example, our business partner, Brandon Curry, Mr. Olympia. He's literally he's perfect. He's the perfect guy. He has haters.
Most chill dude ever.
How do you hate on that guy? Like, he's been with the same woman for all these years. He has 4 kids. He believes in God. Like, he does everything right. Never talks trash.
I have the utmost respect for that.
He's the fucking guy. Me, I'm a dick. I can understand hating me. But, like, these people don't see the dick side of me. They must be searching for it, right?
Mm-hmm. They're searching for your dick?
Yeah, it's hard to find. That's why I shave, so you can find it easier.
Black everywhere except for where it counts, man.
Yeah, my God gave me black calves. Yeah. And I'm still upset about that. And that's what made me racist. I'm like, damn it. Of all black traits to get from the waist down, he gives me fucking calves. These fucking high calf insertions, man.
I do.
But I was fast as fuck, though. Those high calf insertions, the fast twitch, dude, they don't look good on a bodybuilder. You fucking try with your fucking calves, try sprinting for more than fucking 60 yards. Matt's ass would cramp the fuck up. Those big ass fucking mule calves.
Yeah, but hey, look, he will.
And that's the thing. I don't ever work out calves.
Fuck you.
I literally,
you, man, and I'm done.
Leave.
I just started doing it just because.
I'm going to turn off his microphone.
Yeah.
What?
What can I shove in his anus?
Why not have bigger calves? I'm gonna start throwing them in to my routine.
And you notice you got to show, like, you got to wear capris. Like I have good quads, so every picture I take, I make sure I'm wearing shorts and I flex the quads because I'm gonna get beaten upper body a lot, but there's very few people who can beat my quads, at least in conditioning, right? If I were you, I don't care if it's fucking -40 out. I'm going to show my calves. I'm wearing capri pants and I'm wearing flip-flops all the fucking time. Flip-flops are so they see the contrast from the beautiful feet up to boop. There you go. Dude. Fucking calves. I got kinks.
You want to draw attention down there, just wear Crocs.
This is my first time wearing capris. I normally love wearing shorts because, like, I think I got good legs too, but...
You got good legs, but who needs them? Like, just show the fucking knee down like Flex Lewis. Like, the guy's fucking calves are this fucking big. Like, my calves are shaped like this fucking can.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Tragic.
It's tragic, but...
Don't get me started. Don't get me started on fucking calf genetics. Good God, man. Oh,
bro, you're
black.
Tall. Yeah.
Tall, black, whatever.
Okay. I'll give you that. But my fucking coaches, they were always like, and they always assumed I had weak legs, man. I could squat 400 pounds. They're like, yeah, but dude, you need to work lower body. I'm like, what the fuck? just squatted 405 pounds. What are you talking about?
Bro, I've seen powerlifters with no legs. Like, look at Stan Efferding. He has great legs, but his calves are always weak. And the guy's the strongest bodybuilder fucking all time.
Yeah, I mean,
like Johnny Jackson had weak legs, and he was the strongest body, but he was a powerlifter.
Size doesn't necessarily equate to strength when it comes to
doesn't.
powerlifting.
No.
Yeah. Strength is typically, again, everybody has roughly the same maximum contractile potential, but strength and, explosiveness, where it counts is how quickly you can reach that peak.
And this is also kind of a question that I've, always wondered about, because, you have so many different scientific studies about how to train and what to do and whatnot. And to me, it just kind of, it makes it too complex. I think it should be a lot more simpler than what, hey, should I lift with intensity? Or should I focus on volume? Should I focus on strength?
No, I think the options are good. I think the options are good because it gives people choices to pick what they like most and what their goal is. Because, it might be someone's goal to be Mr. Olympia, but it might also be another person's to be the world's strongest man. And you're going to train completely different for those two goals. So you have to have those different variations. Yeah, but when you throw in CrossFit, then it gets stupid.
CrossFit is how do I break my back?
Because you also have well, should I train to failure or should I just do sets? I mean, there's so many variations out there. It's like, man, what do people do for what? And I understand, if you're doing strongman, of course you want to focus on strength, but at some point you probably want to add a little bit of size too.
Cross training.
So.
Well, what you do in, for example, I'm Exos, and there's different phases. So for athletes, and generally not bodybuilders, so not for us, but for athletes, generally you have different phases. You have strength, you have power, and hypertrophy. Where strength would be, reps between, let's say, 5 and 8, right? And then you have different modalities, different lifts. Power would be more, and that's where you do your deadlifts, your squats, your things like that are just power. Strength. Where power phase would be things like explosive lifts, like snatches, partial snatches.
That's what we're looking at.
And so that's more of your plyometric lifts, right? Your big compound lifts that utilize multi-joints. And then the hypertrophy phase would be, your sets of 8 to 15 reps, your high volume. So there's different ways to go about it. Depends on the modality. What I've found as someone who's trained for so many years is that it's good to mix it up. At the end of the day, it comes down to progressive overload. Whether you're overloading volume, whether you're overloading intensity, whether you're overloading load, those are things you need to look at. But also, you need to factor in over time how you're doing it, why you're doing it. And bodybuilders are obviously going to use more single limb movements, put more pressure and force on the limb they're trying to grow. So you're not going to see an Olympic lifter do an arm day. But you're not going. I'm not going to have a soccer player do an arm day, but I'm going to have it maybe in their hypertrophy phase. But I'm going to have them do lifts that correspond or correlate to actually running faster, to pivoting harder, to being more resilient to injuries.
Kind of like a pie chart almost.
Well, the people that I typically deal with, or at least who come to me for advice and stuff, they're like, hey, what should I do? And they're not really trying to focus on any type of sport. Or athletics or anything like that. What they're trying to do is they're trying to, of course, get just lose fat and get fit, and then maybe get strong and get big. And so, when you come down to that, the way that I see it is, as long as you're pushing yourself, progressive overload, as long as you're pushing yourself to that next level just by a little bit every workout, and you're hitting all the body parts that you want to be hitting, and the compound lifts and everything. To me, that's. Keep it simple, I mean, it doesn't need to be, I'm going to have a conditioning phase for 5 weeks and then a strength or hypertrophy phase.
Well, I think that's the difference is or at least I, when you brought this up initially, was specific goals, people wanting to compete. It wasn't even in my realm of thinking, just the average dude.
I think a lot of paralysis by analysis, same goes for business. A lot of people I'm going to start, how do I start a YouTube channel? You get your iPhone, you press the fucking record button, and then you upload it. And then as you go, you get better. Maybe the next year you buy a camera. Yeah. Maybe the next year you learn to stream. Maybe the next year you get some podcasting equipment. A lot of people just sit there and they fucking think and think and think and think and think, and they never actually do it. I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Okay, great. I'm going to start a business. Okay, why don't you just start the process of the business? Why not go out and start prospecting, start learning about the industry? Yeah. There's always groundwork. You need at least a year of groundwork in whatever you're going to start. So keep your job, but at night, go home and fucking start learning the process. Get into it. But a lot of people sit there and they just think and they think and they think. And they paralyze their brains and they never do something. You want to know who's successful?
Guilty of it.
Dude, Jack Owak. I was talking about this on a podcast yesterday. Fucker owns Bang. $1 billion brand. Okay, I've known Jack since the year 2000. He was my client when I worked at Weeder Publications. He ran ads with me. And he owned a company called VPX. After that, he owned VPX again. After that, he owned Redline. And all three of them flopped. He went bankrupt like 3 times. Not bankrupt maybe, but he went broke as fuck. Okay? And dude, this 20 years in the making, and now he has Bang, $1 billion brand. Jack is not known for his strategy. He's not known. He just gets it. He gets an idea and he fucking runs with it and he refines it as he goes. And the thing about Jack, and I have this in common with him, and Matt and my wife can agree, is he's fucking insane. And he doesn't think before launching things, but he fucking goes and he does it. And he takes that fucking risk. But the thing about social media and starting that, there's no fucking risk. Yeah, there's no risk in starting a Twitter account and fucking going at it and posting stuff. There's no risk.
Worst case, nobody just sees your shit. That's it.
Gary Vee goes out all the time and says, if you're not utilizing every fucking social media outlet there is, you're missing the boat. They're fucking free.
Yeah. Make the account, go ahead and get started. But here's the problem is that most times when people are starting something new, people love the idea of starting something new. They love to say, "Oh man, I'm starting this new I'm starting this new fitness plan, man. I'm just going to look at this stuff. I'm going to look at this stuff." They just talk about it. They think about it. It becomes mental masturbation because you basically just start pleasuring yourself with the idea and the information, and then again, when it comes time to do it, now you got 500 different choices to choose. You know, what was it Steve Jobs said? He limited his wardrobe to one outfit because he did not want to have to make that decision on what to wear.
Bingo.
You got to simplify things. And unfortunately, people don't like to simplify things for themselves. And it comes down to, do you really want to do it or do you just want to feel good about it?
Not even simplification. It's just they like the idea, like you said, but then when it's time to actually put in the work, they're like, "Oh, I don't like the work."
Bro, work.
Dude, I also think that a bunch of people don't know what they really want. I mean, like we sit there and we look at, Steve Jobs or other of these extremely successful people. That's like, but do you really want that? I mean, apparently, I don't know. Well, I may be making the wrong statement right now when I'm saying that his family life was awful, but from just what I've seen, possibly that it was. It's like, do you want a family? Do you want to have a healthy relationship with everybody? It's like, well, then maybe you don't want that success.
You got to fit your goals to your lifestyle.
You really need to, and I think that's a problem with most people is they don't get into the specifics. They don't think about what future do I really truly want.
Well, yeah, and here's something I regret every day of my life starting a business, man. Every day I've regretted it because what you just said about Steve Jobs, that's me. For probably 15 years of my life, I was a horrible fucking husband. And I was a good father. Good. I could have been better because I was focused on the business because that's all you focus on. It depends. You can run a local business, do pretty well and make enough to sustain. But when I was working for corporate America, I was making multi-six figures and I was killing it. And I wanted more. I wanted to go out there and do something and change lives. But, at the end of the day, I made the decision to start a business, and that encompassed my life because I got into it to grow and sustain a successful, even Twitter. Like, look at Twitter, man. To grow a successful Twitter account, look at how much time Cernovich puts into it. Look at Jack. God. Look at those guys like Posobiec. Like, those guys put in so much time and effort, and Cernovich's become an expert at it. He's a good friend of mine. I speak well about him. Why are you on Cernovich's nuts? I'm like, he's a good dude. Like, I give props where it's due. If that means I'm on someone's nuts, then I'm on someone's nuts.
Okay.
I guess just because a man can respect another man's hustle and respect another man doesn't mean you're on his nuts. But what I'm saying is, you need to balance what you want in life. There's a lot of people living in this very neighborhood that I live in that work 9 to 5s, work for someone else, and are fucking happy and come home every day and they turn the work off and they go and they go to practice.
Balance.
Me, I decide I'll take time out of my day. We'll go to the park, train the kids. I'll train my kids, but I'm back at work, filling out paperwork and doing whatever other CEO shit I need to do at night. And there's something you need to realize that you need to make sacrifice to be successful. So success is relative. For me, it meant growing fucking companies and doing something special. But for most of us, we work to pay our bills. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to decide what you want to be. You got to decide what you want to be. If you want to be great, then 9 to 5 ain't cutting it.
Nah.
Yeah, because here's the thing, and I think it's Tony Robbins that said, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Because, I mean, you have people that are successful that are listening to other people and they're telling them what to do, and they go out and they do it, but there's really no sense of fulfillment. Yeah, you may have, money, cars, clothes, whatever, all these, material possessions and everything, but a lot of these people are empty inside. And you got to think about, like we were talking, back to the start, what do you really want? And so a lot of people just don't think about that. They think that they want that success, but you also got to think about the pros and the cons, or at least the cons. Because a lot of people think about the pros. Oh, it'd be great to have a lot of money. I can do whatever I want. No, you may not be able to do whatever you want. That's what happens with me when I started coaching. So, when I was, or at least training people online, I developed a clientele, and I was happy about it because that's exactly what I wanted to do. And I was like, okay, I'll have all this flexibility and everything like that. Well, it got to a point where, I was being contacted on Saturdays and Sundays. I tried to go out of the country. I had to make time to go. We took a family trip to Italy, and I was trying to find time to go answer all the questions I've been getting from my clients because, man, they're paying me. Those are basically my bosses. I got to go back to them and talk to them. And so I sat there and thought for a second, like, man, this is a lot. I mean, what if I get so many more clients? Then I'm really not going to be able to take any time off. And so when COVID happened and everybody's gym got shut down and I lost all my clients, it was kind of like, hey, maybe this is my chance to go do something different. And so it was kind of a wake up call for me because look, I wanted the money. There's great money in it if you work hard and build it.
Huge.
Yeah. But then there's no freedom because your time is tied into all that.
That's that working for yourself trap. There's no such thing as working for yourself.
Well, people think of success in an absolute, right? Like where it's just one set mind or one set goal. But like success could be different for everyone.
Yeah.
And that's the fulfillment part. Fulfillment and success should be the same thing. Where you feel fulfilled, you're happy with your life, and you're living at or above your means.
Right.
I think that's a fair assessment for it. I think that we all have a different definition of success.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's financially motivated. Look, dude, Jeff Bezos has more money than the country, and he still wants more. And there's something, it's not, most of the successful people I've found.
Fucker got divorced, and he's still the richest man in the world.
I mean, here's the thing is that a lot of successful people are not financially driven. They're driven by some other reason.
Bingo.
People who seek money usually don't make it. They usually don't make it. They're usually always chasing
the
it.
Motivation's just not enough. Again, money is a means to an end. Normally, when we look at what constitutes success, typically everybody has a dream or they have something that they want to do, but they just don't. Either they're not going to make enough money doing it, or there's just not enough money for them to get started. So money always ends up being a tool, but when you look at something, when you look at like this real fancy hammer or something, and you're like, oh, dude, I wish I had a hammer. And then you finally get the hammer. Okay, you focus so much on getting a hammer. Now what the fuck do you do with it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
you
money,
don't even know how to use it.
Money is definitely part of it. Part of success. I'm sure it's a factor in everyone's definition of success.
Well, it has to be in a capitalist society. Yeah, it has to be.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't endorse communism.
Well, here's the thing. It has to do with socialism, too. They just cap where you can go. Yeah. Money makes every society go.
Bingo.
Even socialism. Money's always going to be an issue. We're always going to need money. And the people who have power in socialist countries, they're the ones that have the most money.
Bingo. Money is pretty much a placeholder for value.
But that's the thing, too, is people right now, banks are from what I've heard, they're just giving away money. They want people to borrow. They've got rates so low. It basically doesn't cost anything to borrow. So no one's really taking chances to start anything. And that's the thing is you got to be willing to start. Like I was willing to start and build that business from scratch. Yeah. And of course, what I learned and I kind of take it back a little bit earlier from what I said earlier, but I didn't totally not enjoy training people. I enjoy training people. But what I found out is that I want to train competitors. I don't want to train just regular people. I trained a lady to compete in Flex's show up here in Nashville, and she won the novice in physique. I think it was physique, and I was just so like I love that. I love the competition atmosphere, but I never would have figured that out if I wouldn't have tried to just do regular people too. Because she was just a regular person at first. Then she up and just decided that she wanted to compete. She was like, can you coach me into a show? I said, absolutely. But I never would have had that opportunity if I didn't start.
Not to mention nothing gained.
And not to mention too, but a lot of people don't want to give up what they have because a lot of times, here's the thing. Another challenging aspect of it is you have to be willing to take a step backwards in order to take 2 steps forward. Like with me personally, I was working a great job at Honda manufacturing. I had making over $70,000 a year being an engineer. I thought, it was great. I thought that I had made it to the top and whatnot. It wasn't what I expected. And, eventually it got to the point where I was just like, you know what? This isn't for me. I don't want to do this. I want to pursue fitness. And so I quit that and took a job that paid less than half. I saved up a bunch of money and I quit that and took a job that paid less than half so that I could start my business. Because I said, if I stay here, I will never be able to do it. And that's going to kill me inside.
It's the, you got comfortable where you were at, but
Exactly.
if you're going to grow, you have to seek discomfort. You can't stay comfortable. You'll just, you'll get complacent and you won't grow as a person. You won't grow in business. I mean, shit, look at what our workout just was. Those crazy ass drop sets. Those were not, they were fun, but they weren't comfortable. Oh. They sucked.
I trained back, so I definitely, the shit was new. The shit was new to me.
Well, the thing is, you got to look at training as a metaphor for life.
Really,
if you're willing to go outside your comfort zone, set goals, achieve them, and then set new goals. That's why weight training and just exercising and any kind of athletic activity. If I'm going to get 5 reps, I'm going to do 6 reps. Okay, well, if I'm going to close this many accounts this month, I'm going to close this many accounts next month. Your brain is extremely intelligent, but it's extremely stupid. And here's why: is that it doesn't necessarily know exacts, but it knows processes, and it gets in the state where if you're used to making shit happen, if you're used to the growth mindset, your mind's going to be set for that for the rest of what you do. Well, if you set your mind to do things physically, it will transcend into things business wise. It'll transcend into things mentally.
Very true.
And so that's why I always tell people, look, there's only one thing we can do in this world. One thing we can do that increases your mental acuity the first time you do it, and that's weight training, and that's exercise. Mm-hmm. Not just weight training, but any kind of exercise. It's firing off neurons, it's growing neurons, it's developing new neurons, movement patterns, learning patterns. Those are all things that are accomplished. So people look at you and say, meathead, I'm like, thank you. Yeah. Because this is making me better than you, and this is why I'm kicking your ass in business.
Bingo. The problem with society.
And if it came down to a real fight, probably that too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Them long ass arms, dude. Those things are
I'm in trouble with that.
Oh, dude. I was about to say, man.
T-Rex.
Hey, look, getting close range, man, and those kidneys are going down.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the issue is people don't lift in society. I think that's really the biggest. That's the biggest gap in people's fulfillment is because nobody's pushing themselves. Think about it. How many goals or how many challenges does the regular person in our society that's devoid of challenges overcome?
Yeah.
Nobody overcomes any challenges. Lifting is an artificial challenge. And again, it's got a very good end to it. So, you're not wasting your time when you're lifting. And you're always overcoming challenges. You're always getting endorphins. You're always getting that dopamine hit. There's always something that keeps you feeling a little bit more fulfilled. But taking on a whole other meta level, the problem that I think that we have as a society, not only is it people not lifting, people just don't know themselves.
Yeah.
Think about this. If you tried to lift and you didn't know what your body liked, if you didn't know how to train your body at all, or you weren't understanding your body, are you going to get anywhere?
But people don't. Oh, go on.
I was going to say that you touched on a really, really good point, and that also affects every single other aspect in their life as well. And I think that's why we're partly why we're in the political situation that we're in right now, is because
these fuckers don't lift.
They don't lift. They don't. Well, they don't.
God damn it.
They don't know themselves. And I was trying to talk about this with a buddy the other day, where it's like, what is it with these kids or millennials, whoever, younger people coming up, not actually respecting the idea of freedom and liberty and wanting to go towards a more socialist route. What is it what happened that went wrong? At what point? There's so many factors that go into it, but there's got to be some that are bigger than others.
Mom and Dad never whooped their ass and never told them they never told them where they want. The kids had no direction. And the thing is, if you don't have any direction, you don't know what you want. So you want to be told what you want. And the common theme in, again, command economies and authoritarian regimes is that they tell you what to do. You wake up on their time. Your labor goes to whatever they say. If they say you're on the farm and you're going to, till the fields and then we're going to redistribute that to the collectives, that's where you find yourself in. It's what somebody else tells you. And to somebody that doesn't know themselves, that's great. I don't have to think. Exactly. I'm doing my part. Awesome. I'm helping the collective. I feel good. That's why the virtue signaling thing came out. Because, again, a lot of people, they have all of the comforts that you need to find yourself, but they don't have a mission to find themselves. Well, what are they doing with their lives? Not
only do they have to prove to others that they're virtuous, but they have to prove to themselves because they really don't think that they are. So they have to do these things and say, well, and here's the thing. There's the external versus the internal. So if they think that if others believe they're virtuous, then it's safe for them to think that they're virtuous.
I mean, I don't know how it is here because I haven't experienced it here, but in New York, it was like you almost had to prove you weren't racist this year or last year. Like it got to the point where it was like, you have to prove you're not a racist.
How do you prove you're not a racist?
I don't know. Yeah. It's not good enough to just not be a racist.
A black kid.
I'm like, I know. I was like, I know I'm not a racist. I don't need to prove that shit to you. It's like, well, no, but you don't understand what black people have gone through. I'm like, listen, dude, as a Jew growing up in New York, I got made fun of a lot more than the black kids did. It just is what it is. Like, for being Jewish.
The burden of proof isn't on you, it's on them.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Down here, dude, growing up, like I always had great relationships with everybody. And I was, in very South Alabama, but we all played, football together, went to school together, had great relationships with everybody. I hardly ever remember, anything, racial coming up. So, to me, it's like,
that's what I'm saying. It just happened like either last year or this year where it became such a fucking issue.
Yeah. And I have buddies that I could call back up, that I went to high school with and just pick up from where we left off.
I don't know. Affirmative action in the 90s. I'm old enough to remember that. Yeah, we had some issues. There was definitely some. It was just like it is now.
Yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't.
There just wasn't Twitter.
I'm just saying from my personal experience. I'm not saying like it isn't a thing. Yeah.
From my personal experience growing up a decade before you, it comes in cycles. They play the race card when they have to win something, when they have to divide us. Like overall, you go into any community, look, I'm in Brentwood, Tennessee, the number 3 richest community. You go to our pool during the summer, it's filled with different races. This community, who you would think's a bunch of uptight white folk, is actually pretty damn diverse because most of America doesn't give a fuck. They tell us to give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I've never given a fuck. They play us against each other. That's how they win, by dividing us, by taking our attention away from them and putting it on each other.
But again, it's also a part of human nature. Here's actually one of the things that a lot of people don't actually understand is that humans, we don't define ourselves based on what we know ourselves to be, because again, that comes later in the future. Self-actualization is at the highest point of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Humans typically go by what's called the sociological principle of outgroup homogeneity bias, which is that we will define ourselves based on what we are not. So if I look at myself and I look at Mark and I'm like, okay, he is short. I am not short.
God damn it.
I know.
I thought he was going to say white.
I thought he was too. Dude, we're both black guys at this table. Come on.
That's why we set it up. It was like black guy, white guy, black guy, white guy.
There we go. But again,
Matt, not a Matt.
Bingo. It's like if you look at Matt and you look at Matt working out, you automatically know based on how he's working out that you're not Matt. Because again, Matt has those short arms that can fucking bench 150-pound dumbbells while I'm fucking struggling with one. No, I'm joking. But
I get it. Yeah.
But, that's how humans are. And that is something that, again, media companies learned how to exploit differences in order to create a feeling of inclusion. It's artificial inclusion.
Yeah.
We don't really,
I think it also comes down to a lot of insecurities that people have within themselves, especially in the social media era, I'll call it. Like just seeing, we say it all the time. Instagram is such like a curated look into someone's life where they're only showing the good shit, like the really good shit. They're not showing the hard stuff. So you think you need to have like this perfect life. You become insecure and then you get this whole thing. Hold on, I can be part of something bigger. I can this is where I need to be. This is the virtue signaling that I need to express to have this kind of life. And then it just grows and it becomes really fucking annoying.
It truly does. For those of us who have common sense, this is just crazy shit.
It really is.
Oh yeah, and then it gets even more complicated.
Well, and the thing is, what is it? What is the term? Argue for your vices? Is that?
I've never heard that.
What is that? Where I think that's what it is. But anyway, it's crazy how people will reinforce their vices or reinforce their own insecurities. It's just like, no, you're trying to drop your insecurities, not make them bigger, not be, not be, or at least exacerbate them.
I know what you're talking about.
It's supposed to be because a lot of times when you have that insecurity, those media companies and everything that you're talking about, they're trying to pull that out, so they can take advantage of it. And they don't.
Oh, absolutely.
This.
Well, hello there, wicked white person. I see right now that you are not supporting Black Lives Matter. Well, let me tell you, here at McDonald's, we value Black Lives Matter. You can buy our new Big Mac meal and put up the McDonald's Black Lives Matter symbol and show that you are virtuous. So come shop with us because we endorse Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, but that's just like, it's all brands at this point, doing that, trying to exploit it.
Mm-hmm. It is. And on that note, want to take a break? Cut it up? Yeah. Cool. All right. So it's crazy stuff going on now. Kellen's a scientist, man. So everything's going on. You're watching this from a scientific standpoint. Everything out in the world, the mask Nazis, the lockdowns, and the vaccines. I don't even know if I'm going to give you a direction, but what when you're looking in at this as a guy with a science, everybody looks at science like, okay, you got to be an epidemiologist. Look, science is science. They all follow a process, the scientific process. What are you thinking right now as a scientist? What's going on in the world right now?
All right. First off, again, when you look at things from a scientific perspective, you don't have a definitive answer. So that's the number one thing that's the biggest issue right now with society is that people actually work backwards. People start out with an answer, and then they try to find facts that confirm that answer. When you're applying the scientific method, again, your hypothesis, that's just basically a guess. You're not trying to affirm your hypothesis. In fact, you're actually trying to actively disprove that hypothesis, and you're trying to find facts that run contrary. So you expose yourself to information that is going to basically put what you believe in flux. And this is an issue with the populace is that right now, again, people are afraid to be wrong. When I was, when I was coming up in college, again, my degree is in kinesiology, biomechanics, and I actually have a slight focus on cardiology. That's actually where I've, started to branch off, and most of the studies that I coordinate are actually pulmonary studies. But, situations like that, you have to not be afraid to be wrong. That's the biggest issue, is that people are too afraid to be wrong. And, you're going to throw some guesses up there as to what's happening. Racism. That's a big issue. And it's one that can be solved scientifically if you just look at, okay, so where are the disparities in race coming from? Okay, from a scientific perspective, it's always has to do with a common factor about money. But then again, people are like, wait, but if it's just about money, then that means that, again, racism is, that means my assertion that the world is racist or that there is, in fact, systematic injustice that I've been told or racism is wrong. And now people are feeling like they're incorrect. Now, as it regards to, stands with COVID, there's a little bit of an issue, and it's that people were thrown statistics, people were thrown data, medical information about hospitalization. They were giving a lot of these stories, these anecdotal evidence, evidence-based studies that are based on, anecdotes, They're based on statistics and information that we don't actually have all the access to. And they're trying to say, okay, this virus is deadly. All right, you just jumped from a hypothesis that there's a virus that is deadly. Then your experiment is basically people dead. And then the conclusion is
people dead.
This is a deadly virus. No, there's a lot of information that's missing. Again, you have demographics, you've got the time span from infection, what's the actual case fatality rate, what's the actual the actual period of infection, and how many people are being infected. That's where the whole R naught came in, or R not. Sorry, I heard about this from a British scientist, so it's, again, I pronounce it wrong, but there's a whole lot of information that where you evaluate how deadly a virus is that people didn't have access to, and then they're just getting thrown these statistics. Okay, 200,000 people have died. Well, hold on now. Where were those 200,000 people at? What group did they belong to? And then, again, what do you have to compare this virus to? People have forgotten about the original SARS-CoV virus. People didn't even know about the MERS virus, the Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome virus. So there's so much information that is missing from public consciousness, and you can't just throw up an answer and say, okay, this virus is deadly, mask, we need to lock down, because you're working in reverse.
Well, I mean, isn't it 80% similar to the original SARS? 80% commonality, I believe.
Yeah, it's highly similar. Again, this virus itself attacks the biconcave discs of the blood. So typically a lot of people get it mixed up, where they think that this is just something that, it gets in your nose and attacks the cells within your nose. Well, actually, when it gets in your nasal cavities, it can't really, the reason why we have such a high asymptomatic rate is because typically you're inhaling this virus. The epithelial cells of your nose actually are not very good for it to, multiply and to reproduce. It only becomes extremely deadly if it gets into the cells or the capillary tissue within your bronchi, where your alveolar sacs are, where gaseous exchange happens. Because at that point, they express a pathway that makes the virus able to actually infiltrate, latch on, and hijack your cells and start reproducing it. And then what happens is those particulates, once you start getting hemolysis, those particulates get into the blood cells and they actually attack the pigment. I think they attack the heme and actually make it to where you can't, to where oxygen doesn't bind properly to your cells. And basically that causes a whole big issue where now all of a sudden your white blood cells stop working properly, brain tissue, a lot of stuff is dying. You actually go into hypoxemia because, again, the oxygen exchange ratio isn't very good, because now your blood cells are starting to become faulty, and then they're starting to break apart, which is splintering, which is just further distributing and sending the virus all out. And you have what's called a cytokine storm, which is a reaction to that. Okay. So that's a bastardized explanation of it. But again,
I don't think
that was the smartest thing ever said on this podcast.
Yeah. We usually talk about butts.
You explained it so well.
I understood it, but basically, to dumb it down for the average people, is he's saying that it's not just in your nasal; it has to get to your blood. Basically, yes. Am I getting that right? And from there, it causes a bunch of different shit to happen, which can cause some issues with breathing.
Yeah, the issue, and the thing is, normally when it's in your nose cells, again, your white blood cells that typically will manufacture antibodies and things like that can actually fight it, they have a very good window to where they can actually get a hold on and analyze and actually recognize the virus. The issue typically becomes, again, if you get a high viral load or a high initial dose of the virus within those nasal cavities, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, the virus is multiplying at a much faster rate, because, again, multiplication is much faster when you start with bigger numbers than it is when you start with smaller numbers. So it's multiplying at a much higher rate. So it's all about exposure and, how quickly can your body mount a defense before it can actually, again.
And another thing too is what are these numbers? I mean, for the last few months, I remember it came out that if you died from a heart attack, but you tested positive for COVID-19, they consider that a COVID-19 death. And so it's like, if that's the case, and we're using comorbidities they've
labeled everything a comorbidity at this point.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. Exactly how deadly is this virus? If we're looking at these numbers,
for us, we're more likely to get struck by lightning right now with clear skies.
And
it's really fucking low. It's not even.
Yeah.
It's not even. It's 90. It's closer to 100% than it is anything.
And we're locking down. We're locking down for that. We're having to be forced to wear a mask, walk around for that.
Well,
I mean, like,
yeah,
really, like that's I'm kind of a little frustrated that no one's really taken that and really pressing that on, because the numbers should reflect how serious this is. And I know that, of course, the television, everyone, all these mainstream media outlets are talking about cases.
Yeah,
200,000 people have died so far.
From deaths.
And so it's like, well, how many of those 200,000 people? How many of those 200,000 deaths actually resulted because of COVID-19?
Yeah, I have a whole shitstorm of shit to talk about here because you guys are really smart with this. But, my whole thing is, okay, we're talking about all this. It could have, I have a hypothesis, and I'm a fucking idiot. I just want to preface that. A lot of people say, I'm not a doctor. I'm a fucking idiot. Okay, so there's my disclaimer. There's my disclaimer. Now you talking about it gets in your body and replicates, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody always asks for studies. I can go on Google right now and pull up thousands of studies.
There's too many studies.
No. But backing me, not one refutes my stance.
Oh yeah.
Not one. There are proven natural vitamins, okay, that prevent viral replication. What my man over here was talking about is it gets in your body and then it replicates.
Well, and I say replicate. Basically it infects cells.
And then
cells reproduce the viral copies.
So if a virus can't produce those viral copies and replicate, it will better your chances of surviving even in a high at-risk population. Am I not right? Yes. So here's where I'm going with that. Nothing's ever proven in science. Things are highly likely, right? There's no proof. There's always, because you're always trying to disprove. That's the scientific method.
Yeah, when you're looking at hypotheses, again, one of the main things is you never take an hypothesis and say, we reject this hypothesis or we accept this hypothesis. It's always, we reject in favor of, and that's basically it. You will reject one hypothesis in favor of another hypothesis, which it only is a placeholder until more data becomes available from another study. So
there is no study not saying that vitamin C has properties preventing viral replication. There's no study saying that zinc, when combined with an ionophore, like quercetin, like EGCG, or hydroxychloroquine. I know I said the magical word.
We're canceled.
I know, but it's an ionophore. An ionophore helps zinc to permeate the cell to prevent viral replication. You have vitamin D. 85% of all hospitalizations in New York were vitamin D deficient. Okay, we have all this data to work on, all this plentiful data. And not one health expert, not one guy has said, hey, for $20 a month, you could take these. They might help, they might not. But we have very good evidence to show this could prevent viral replication as a prophylactic and also as a treatment. Instead, we're sitting back telling people to stay inside, not go outside, get vitamin D, not get sunlight, not get exercise. And we're closing down fucking gyms.
Yeah, it's very rare. Here's the issue. But people don't take their vitamins. That's the number.
And they don't eat good food. You get all this shit from food, but it's hard to get an ionophore from food. Like, that's the thing, is that we have, it's not the cure. We don't have the cure. There's never going to be a fucking cure. There's no cure for the flu. It's a virus that's here to stay, just like hand, foot, and mouth, just like every other fucking virus. Malaria kills 2 million fucking people a year. We never locked down for malaria. We never locked down for Ebola. Motherfuckers are bleeding from their fucking eyes.
It's the problem. The problem is it's so novel, and people will keep on banking on a vaccine. Okay, a vaccine is only going to help you for one strain. And number one, this virus has already declared itself to be endemic. That's the issue that I believe. So you're going to have multiple strains. Mm-hmm. And the deal is, again, when a virus typically goes endemic, it normally will become very mild. That's how nature works.
Yeah, beats it down.
Another thing is that and this is maybe coming from the opposite side of the argument is certain hospitals are pretty filled up with COVID patients.
Oh, yeah. It depends on if they can handle it.
Yeah, and so it's like, all right, and I understand from that standpoint, but what can we do? Other because here's kind of and correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of where I feel like we're coming to as a conclusion. All this, the mask mandates, the lockdowns, all of this is kind of not needed.
Well, here's the thing. If masks work so well, why aren't they working? We're in Franklin, fucking Tennessee, and I walked into the to the burger place earlier. I walked into the grocery store yesterday. 100% compliance on mask here in a conservative fuck you, don't tread on me county. You can imagine what it's like in New Jersey, New York, Boston, where I've been. In Boston, these dumb motherfuckers are driving their car and walking in open fields with masks on because people in Boston are fucking stupid.
The problem is people. It always is people. That's the reason why, again, the overreaction to this was so stark is I think that a lot of people were playing in reverse and basically saying, okay, we know people aren't going to comply with their, we know people are not going to wash their hands or people aren't going to sterilize properly, so we're going to impose these draconian we're going to use all the draconian methods, and hopefully one of them will work. The problem is masks don't work unless people work, and the issue is people, when they have a mask on, they're number one fiddling with it. They're touching over everything.
You have to fiddle with it. The fucker,
Exactly.
Look at my nose. Yeah. There's not one mask that's fitted to this big goddamn Jew nose.
Yeah.
This Jew nose, I need a Jew fitted mask. I can wear a mask. I can wear a bandana. I can wear a fucking gaiter. It falls down every time I talk. Okay. And you have to touch your fucking mask. Another thing is, unless it's N95, a cloth mask.
It's not for preventing you from getting it. Number one, that N95s are the only thing that number one form a tight shield, tight enough to prevent you from getting it. Yeah. It's normally to keep you from, basically spitting when you talk and basically aerosolizing the virus. But the thing is, people don't wear the mask over their face. Number one, again, they touch the mask, then you touch something else. Okay, now you just put a copy of that on the table. So it's almost, it's futile.
It's worse.
Yeah. And so
it's retarded.
Here's where they were thinking. Where and Fauci, a lot of the original medical experts weren't thinking this way, which is why they said, no, don't wear masks. We need those for healthcare workers. But they devised the brilliant, but not really brilliant plan of wear a mask, tell people to space out 6 feet. That way, when they sneeze, it's going to be a blunted distance. It's not going to go the full 6 feet that normal sneezes travel.
Don't y'all cover your mouth with your arm? Like
people don't do shit. That's the problem. People suck at health.
I've never been sneezed on in my 40 years on this earth.
I have.
People suck at health.
I hate it.
And then you walk in, and then people walk into the mist. So the deal is you're supposed to wear the mask, socially distance 6 feet. People at these stores and places are supposed to sanitize. We know people don't clean. People don't even clean their own bathrooms. They're not sanitizing anything. So, it's a broken chain, and masks are a part of that chain. But, if the chain's already broken, that's why they're not working.
The only thing we can do is, we have to have people take better care of themselves, recommend these vitamins, prophylactics, get exercise, get sunlight, vitamin D production within the body.
Been fighting that battle for a long time, man.
At the end of the day, we're in this position because we're fucking fat. Because we're fucking fat, we're fucking lazy, and we do not take our fucking vitamins and eat healthy food.
Yes.
It's Darwinism.
Mark, dude, I posted the other day, I'm like, look, here's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is it's fucking cheap. Like, buy these fucking supplements. I don't care if you buy it from Tiger Fitness. I don't care if you buy it from fucking Target, Rite Aid, GNC, Vitamin Shop. Fuck, I don't know. Grow it yourself in your fucking backyard. Get an encapsulator. Just fucking take them. If there's one thing you do, take these fucking antivirals. Well, you're just trying to sell shit. You know what? Go fuck yourself and fuck your mother. Okay, I'm tired of this shit because I can't fucking even offer just advice out of the goodness of my heart because I am fucking livid because I know it works. And even if it works 1%, well, okay.
But look at fact
here's these fucking arguments. Fuck your fact checkers. Here's the argument. Here's the argument though. It's like, well, you have a 99.96% chance of surviving COVID. Oh, so you're saying you want to kill 0.002%. Okay, well, you have a 1% chance of my fucking idea working. So you're saying you want to kill those 1% that I want to save? It's like, I just want to fucking save lives. Okay, why can't I be a concern? Like, I'll wear a fucking mask if a small business asks me. Okay, but it's getting to the point now where it's like, now you guys have gotten to the point of stupidity. Yeah. Biden and his 100-day mask thing, if he gets in, how's that going to work? Like, we already have, what is he changing? It's already everywhere. I went to Alabama a couple months ago. Y'all are fucking wearing masks too.
Oh yeah.
We're all wearing masks.
We take it seriously, but we get all the blame.
But this is a super spreader event in this house right now.
Oh yeah. But let me tell you what the overall reason for all of this is.
Control.
It's for PR and lawsuits.
Oh,
think about it. If somebody goes into a restaurant or if somebody goes into a Walmart and they get COVID and die because nobody was wearing masks, That's a lawsuit. Now, this is unprecedented territory. Pandemics, again, we haven't had a pandemic in the modern happy era. So, again,
that is genius.
It's liability. That's all this is. This is corporate liability 101. Also, you can get into the whole transfer of wealth thing if you really want to go that far in the rabbit hole. But this is what you tell people. It's liability. If my store tells everybody you can't enter unless you're wearing a mask, and somebody comes in and then a few days later they get COVID and die, guess what? We had a rule here and you broke the rules. So liability is on you. So you can tell those lawyers, fuck off.
That is actually makes more sense than anything I've heard.
And now the issue is, again, the media knows, everybody knows that it's a liability thing, or at least all the bigwigs know, but they have to make it seem like they're doing it out of altruism.
Very true.
And then, again, never let good crisis go to waste, right?
Yeah.
So then the government's going to seize onto it. They used it to rig in all this, universal mail-in voting, Act 77 and all that stuff. It all fits into, it's very ingenious and it all interlocks into a plan. COVID was very useful. I think the Democrats are thanking China really for letting it go. Because, again, it just became such an expedient political tool. And then you see how most of the Democrat politicians use COVID. They use it to basically enforce control, clear the streets, make sure that everything is all squeaky clean so that they can come out, strut out, and say, we did such a good job handling COVID, we're going to pat ourselves on the back. I'm looking at you, fucking Andrew Cuomo. And so they do all of this shit. And then next thing you know, re-elections, right? But they're all going out getting haircuts and they're all abusing.
They didn't do it right. Like they totally screwed the pooch, because even New York Times and even CNN and MSNBC did stories on the Democrats breaking these. And you know what? Here's the thing, though. I'm one of the few people who doesn't believe that Twitter is on this like liberal, this whole liberal conspiracy. I don't. And here's why. Over 65% of their followers are liberal, man. They're catering to their market.
Yeah,
we do it ourselves. Like we do it, Matt, in marketing. We know our market is males 18 to 40. Simple. And we know that when we that when we get out there and we promote things, that we're not going to make it, like there are certain things we'll do for females. We do have a female market. It's probably 30%, but 70% of our market for one of our companies. Now this is an old company. It's one of them. I'm not going to say which one. I don't want to give away the secrets, but we know that when we do marketing and promotions that we're not going to make a pink bunny. We're going to put a fucking muscular dude. Yeah. So we all do it. All Twitter's doing is catering to their money. It's all money.
Yeah, corporations will always preserve corporate interests, right?
Bingo. Republicans, Democrats are all the same. They're all about getting the donors and winning the elections. How do these politicians? Biden's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. He's never made over $200,000 in Senate. How is he such a millionaire?
Oh God, we can go into that rabbit hole. That's a huge rabbit hole.
It is. I don't know.
I have a pretty big question too. Is at what point? And I asked this on Twitter the other day. At what point do we say enough is enough, especially out there in California?
Well, I mean, I think it's there. And that's what we talked about when we were eating those fucking delicious burgers from Burger Up. That shit was bison and it was double patty.
I need it back.
Because, I mean, like in New York, you had that.
I want another.
I think it was a bar the other day where Max, I think it was what it was called, where the guy made a video and said, hey, get down here. They're trying to shut us down. We're going to keep serving. And
hundreds of people.
Arresting the guy and taking him off. Like, at what point? And it's a small business. It's a small business.
Cuomo's an absolute asshole. Like,
Cuomo. You know what? I'm not, again, like, I don't want to be blocked or banned or anything, but I would not shed a tear if Cuomo wasn't with us anymore. Yeah. I'm not going to say what I mean by that, but Cuomo is definitely he's a waste of fucking air.
Dude, he's killed people.
Such an evil fucking bastard. And I really don't like the fact that
he's killed
my
people.
wife is Italian. He's just really making her people look bad.
Cuomo is a fine example of why authoritarianism does not work.
And he's the reason I'm pro-choice.
Yeah. He created... Don't have Cuomo's kids. But he's the reason why it happened, because do y'all know the whole story with what happened down there in New York and also Michigan and places like this that were proactive? they artificially limited the capacity of the hospitals to about 50%.
Yeah.
And so there weren't enough hospital beds, and you had a high influx of COVID cases.
Can I break down how that happened?
They want
so they labeled one floor of every hospital a COVID unit. And then they're like, well, we can't have doctors from one floor working on the other. So they would, the floor above that floor and the floor below that floor, they would vacate. And then they needed more COVID units. So then they would put another one in there, and then they vacated.
Oh, then the fucking
So really only, say a hospital is 6 floors, just as an example. Only 2 of those floors were usable. The other 4 were vacated. So really every hospital in New York City was running at like a 33.3% capacity.
And
then they were over flooding those 2 floors. So everyone was crammed in there, making it a 50% capacity in the entire hospital, but only using 33% of the space.
And you're increasing the likelihood of getting COVID all throughout that. And then, and this is in the early stage when the virus was far more virulent.
That's so organized, though.
But
what's that? Like, who?
It's not because they don't understand.
They all did that.
They don't
in the city, yeah.
It was a government. It was a government mandate. But the thing is, they didn't.
Government mandate.
Yeah, they didn't
in the city. Yes,
bingo.
Yes,
and
that was a Cuomo de Blasio combo.
Fucking brain trust, right?
Yeah.
My problem is that there's too much power with idiots.
Bingo.
Like, I didn't know the government, like, we have a lawsuit going on in the state of Tennessee. I belong to a group called Tennessee Stands. They're actually fighting against masks and all that shit on constitutional grounds. They're suing everybody. I love them. So anyway, I haven't done anything with them, so I'm not active. I'm just, I get their emails.
Endorsement.
I don't donate money to them.
Hold on. Just one other thing. And then they brought in that, what is it? The military ship.
Because they didn't see what happened with the Young
But empty. 2 weeks later, it was out of the harbor. Yeah. Like the day it was there, I drove by and there was a crowd. There was a crowd around it, which was hysterical at the height of the pandemic. And then 2 weeks later, it was fucking gone.
They realized that they done goofed because they didn't see what happened with the Diamond Princess and the ventilation systems there. Yeah. It became a plague ship. And so, again, just to finish this off before we go into the next point, what do you think they did with all those excess people that were technically still COVID infectious, but were technically recovering, not critical? They sent them to the nursing homes.
Smart.
Sent them back to the nursing homes because they were like, you know what? We can't hold all these people. Let's go ahead and send them back if they're not critical anymore. And everybody thinks medical workers have these great track records for being very sanitized, very clean. Oh, they don't.
Oh, I've seen Grey's Anatomy, man. They fuck each other all the time, man. They're just having sex every day. Like,
I will not comment. I won't comment.
Hey, bro. Hey, I'm in the fitness industry, man. That's all I got to say. But here's my thing is that, and that's the one population that dies from COVID. Like, there's not, and they still have a 94% or 96 or some shit survival rate, 70 and above. But like, if you look at guys like us, like I'm 40, but I'm in stupid good shape. I'm in like my blood work is like you would never guess that I've taken hardcore steroids in 2013, right? You never, like, I'm a fucking health Nazi. Okay, so people like me, everybody at this table, Matt who's had COVID, you know, it's like, okay, we're gonna get sniffles, you know, maybe some headaches. We might feel a little hungover. Like this dad who was Preston plays on it, and his team play on the same team. We were there, we were talking this morning. He had COVID, he was quarantined. And the guy, I mean, I don't want to, if he listens to this, I'm sorry, but he's a fucking fat old guy. Like, he's 5 years older than me. He's fucking fat. Like, he's fucking fat. He's not in shape, doesn't work out. He's a fucking guy who comes home, drinks beer, watches football, goes and does his work, you know, lives in a nice neighborhood. Dude, it was like, it just felt like I had a hangover for like 6 days. This guy's not fucking healthy, but he's not 60. So his body was like, fuck it. His whole family got it. They're all fine. Kid didn't even know he fucking had it. I'm like, why'd you test him? He's like, well, it's just what you do. I'm like, fucking stop testing. And so it's like, all right. So bottom line is, it's really, I hate to say this, but like, this sounds so fucking bad. So fucking bad, but I'm going to say it anyway. Out of 350 million people, 250,000 people, it's not a lot of fucking people, guys. Like car accidents, fucking all this shit kill people. Colds, flus, hand, foot, and mouth, undiagnosed flus, 80,000 documented flu deaths in 2017. Unfortunately, people fucking die. It happens. And if we really gave a fuck about mitigating deaths, we put the speed limit on the highway at 20 miles an hour.
You said limiters on people's cars.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unfortunately, we don't give a fuck about deaths because it's part of life. And our overall death rate across the country has not gone up. We're pretty much the same. It's insignificant. It's statistically insignificant. Yeah. So why are we locking down for what I would claim is a pretty weak ass virus?
Exactly.
Yeah, consolidating power.
Exactly. And you still have these useful idiots out there that are, I'm saying that the argument from the other side, call them useful idiots.
No, they're fucking assholes.
That are, and they're assholes too. That are sitting there trying to, mass shame people, and it's like, how stupid can you be to just? There are literally people who watch the TV, and that dictates their reality. Is what the guy on TV tells them.
Yeah,
and it's like they can't fathom anything outside of that reality, and it's pathetic. It's like, How do we get so many people like that?
Well, Matt,
how do we have so many people?
We've always had them. It's just they've never been.
Now they're empowered because if they're wearing a mask and you're not, they can yell at you. Let me tell you this. I want to state this. I've spent my whole life trying to make people healthier and trying to make people live longer. I'm not going to go against that because of more freedom, as they say, more freedom. Well, fuck you. I do like my freedom, but I also like common sense. And common sense says that masks don't do shit. If you look at when they imposed the mask mandates in LA, infection rates went up. Everybody wasn't wearing them. Okay, so 90% were. That's a fucking big compliance rate.
It's a fallacy because they put the mask mandates in, but the compliance rate never factors in how many people take it off, or how many people leave their masks there, or how many people are spreading it,
or how many people give rim jobs.
Dude, the brown starfish is blameless. Okay,
dude,
let's leave the brown starfish alone.
Just to kind of go on that, there was that
was legit.
It is legit for Vermont.
God.
It's a fucking.
That was on Vermont's actual website.
So they say that instead of having sex, so it would be like Matt. This is a 6-foot table, so you'd have to sit the same distance I am from Matt and just watch each other jerk off. And the other one is
eye contact is key during that, folks. Eye contact is key.
Like, dude, I'm just being real. Like, I love my wife and we have a great intimate life. But if I was sitting this far across from her and she's doing her thing and I'm whacking off, I couldn't not laugh.
With a mask on too.
With a mask on.
Full blown naked with a mask on.
So they want you to be literally with a mask on, giving your partner the hungry eyes while